heading in the opposite direction today. This is Will Buchanan, blowing on the Walk for Liberty. I think the wind's trying to make a statement that I'm not walking fast enough, so it's trying to blow me faster to New Hampshire. I'm certainly glad it's not blowing in the other direction, or else I might be doing a 24-minute pace instead of a 16-minute pace. By the way, today is August 22nd, day 114 of the Walk for Liberty. Brooke and I slept in the tent last night, and for most of the night it was probably about this windy then too. At times I wondered if the tent would actually hold up. I couldn't imagine how it would feel out here with this wind if instead of 66 degrees, it were 30 degrees. Notice the wind's 31 miles an hour. In the Day 113 episode, I talked about how the Yellowstone Trail was not only the first transcontinental highway built across the northern tier of states, but also that it was funded and built by private organizations and not by the government. As I mentioned yesterday, many people think that governments are the only organizations which have the capacity to build major, long-distance highways. I've also heard people argue that without government being able to steal people's land through eminent domain, but of course the people talking about that don't refer to that as stealing, that without government being able to steal people's land via eminent domain, that there would be no possible way for things like transcontinental highways or railroad lines to be built. First, I have a counterexample. Back in the late 1800s, railroad entrepreneur James J. Hill was able to build a transcontinental railroad, also through the northern tier of states, by acquiring the land privately and, according to Wikipedia, with just a few land grants. I don't know the details behind those land grants, but I'm guessing that if it was from the federal government, it was from land that the federal government claimed it already owned and wasn't specifically stolen from people through eminent domain for James J. Hill's rail line. You might be thinking to yourself, come on, Will, that was a long time ago and things are different today. There's no way a company today could build a long-distance railroad or highway without using government eminent domain. When people claim this, their argument tends to go something like this. Let's say a company decides it wants to build a brand new long-distance highway. So the company starts buying up plots of land along the intended route. Then some people along the intended route realize what's going on, and at that point they figure they have the company over a barrel. They decide they'll hold out for 10 times what the property is really worth. Pretty soon, everyone along the route decides they're going to do that, which of course the company won't be able to pay for. The project grinds to a halt, the company goes bankrupt, and the highway never even makes it off the ground. Right? Wrong. Problem is that people who make that argument just don't understand economics, at least in that case. There's never just one way to do something. After all, there are probably adjoining property owners. Who says the highway can't wind around a bit? Have you ever known one to go directly from point A to point B? So anyway, once the property owners realize that there's not just one fixed route and that there's competition, the price will probably quickly drop. So the road builder can base his route on a combination of the most direct way he can go in conjunction with the cheapest he can get the land. But let's say there comes a situation where there is no possible alternative route. For example, if there's a mountain pass and someone owns all the land from one side to another at a particular point on the pass. In that case, that land is potentially very valuable. Maybe the landowner even bought it as an investment, specifically because they thought someone might want to build a road through there someday. One aspect of economics is that there's never any fixed price for an item. It's always whatever a specific buyer and a specific seller agree upon. If it were the government building the mountain pass, they would probably give the landowner whatever paltry sum some appraiser had told them it was worth. However, the appraiser doesn't know what the land is really worth. The real value is whatever the seller, i.e. the landowner, and the buyer, i.e. the road builder, agree upon. And if they can't come to terms, then there will be no deal. Which is always a possibility, that a specific piece of land is simply too valuable for there to be a road built through it. No organization, including the government, has the right to build a road through a specific location for some specific arbitrary price. One final thought is that in this argument so far, it's been assumed that people will try to balk and jack the price up for the road builder. However, can you think of cases in which you might want a road to be built through or next to your land? Especially if you were a business, you'd probably jump at the chance to sell off part of your land so that you could have prime real estate next to a new highway that was going through. Or even for an individual, it might mean a quicker, easier commute to your preferred destination. But in any case, and regardless of the economic details, it's never right for anyone, including the government, to steal somebody else's land. I walked 20 miles. Here's my GPS location. This is Will Buchanan for blog.walkforliberty.com, signing off.